Right, I'm going to keep this one super quick, I promise. This is a question I get a lot and there is a lot of confusion about it, but it's really not too tricky, and that is packing, and specifically which bag to bring and how heavy it can be. So when you are looking around booking your safari, often you can come across the fact that on most safari flights there's a weight limit. Okay, so pretty much everywhere, with some variation, that weight limit is 15 kilos per person. So what that means is that's your bag that goes in the hold, and there has to be a weight limit because we use small planes, light aircraft, mostly the Cessna Caravan, workhorse of the bush, and sometimes these flights are full and there's 12-13 people on there, and of course limited weight because they're small planes. So those weight restrictions are quite strictly enforced. If you go over 15 kilos and your flight is quite full, you can expect to have to negotiate financially. It is quite a strict thing. It's not something that we can control or help you. It just depends on when you check in. So best to stick to it to avoid any extra penalties. So the things to remember are that really change the equation are that you can do laundry in most of the safari camps that you go on with us, with the Kusini Safaris. The higher end or luxury, really starting to not like that word, safaris. When I say you can do laundry, obviously the laundry is done for you. You put it in a little basket in the corner, and often it will come back later that day or the next day, depending on if it's raining and if they can dry it on the line. Nice and folded and looking fab on your bed. So obviously that means you don't need to bring 7 shirts and 7 pairs of trousers and all the rest of it. You can be quite economical, as my mum would say. So 15 kgs, what that looks like is often kind of one of your small 40, 50, maybe even 60 litre bags. And what we recommend is, these days you can get these great little duffel bags. Some of them have wheels. Very neat and tidy from all your outdoor kind of brands. And the soft ones are the best because they're easy to move around. We can pick them up and carry them. We can put them on planes and on the back of trucks and they don't fall out. And yeah, easy to stack. Do not show up with a hard case, an old school suitcase. They are very cumbersome and tricky to move around, a real pain for the guys that have to be lifting them up all the time. They fall out of trucks, they get damaged. Bad idea. We need more expedition style packing. Okay, and so 15 kilos, you're looking at your clothes for the safari. That's a topic for another video. And then all your little bits and your toiletries, medications, that sort of thing. Also bear in mind, you don't really, unless you have a real favourite that you must have every day, you don't really need to bring soap, shower gel, shampoo, this type of thing. A lot of the camps will have that. And the other thing to bear in mind is, of course, you can have other bags with you. So 15 kgs refers to, as I said before, the bag that goes in the hold. Beyond that, you can take a bag into the cabin with you, just like you can on a plane. So you might have a rucksack or a tote bag, a handbag, all these types of things. You can have more than one within reason. Okay, so for example, myself, I always travel on safari with my camera. Got a couple of lenses on it. I never check that on a big plane, for example, because I don't want it to get damaged. And the same is true on the small planes. So I have quite a big rucksack with a laptop and camera and all my kind of essentials in there, and I take that on the plane with me, and it just sits in a little compartment at the back of a Cessna, and that's perfectly acceptable. And that's heavy. My one's heavy because I've got my photography equipment in it. So like I said, within reason, as long as it's a kind of a carry-on style rucksack, shoulder bag, something like that, you can put all your essentials, extra clothes, you know, and your lunch and whatever in there. Okay, so there's 15 kilos, you know, maybe it could be 2-3 weeks safari. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's very doable when you know that you can do laundry and you can have another bag and so on. Okay, and then if you have special arrangements, you know, maybe you've got some extra kit, extra photography kit, maybe you're climbing Kilimanjaro or something, we can move bags around in country, extra bags. You can bring extra stuff, but these arrangements will be ones that you'll have to pay for. Okay, beyond 15 kgs or beyond 1 or 2 bags a person, and you just have to let us know and we can organise those things as we go. Okay, hope that cleared up a point of a lot of confusion. What I should add here is that the 15 kgs applies to most flights, especially scheduled ones, but if you're chartering, then you can often have as much luggage as you like, depending on how many people you are and what plane you've got. Of course, bear in mind that you might only be chartering one specific leg of your safari, because that's the best way, and there isn't a scheduled flight at that time of year, or it's a remote airstrip or something, so it might not be your whole safari. So that's worth remembering, but let's not get too complicated for now.